Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. Check, 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 check. How are you guys doing? Check, 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 check. How are you guys doing? Hello. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Let me alert the social media. Okay. Looks like that's done. All right. Hello. It's Sunday once again. I'm actually streaming on a Sunday, not on a Monday this week. Last week I streamed on Monday. Let's put this over here. I have two monitors, and so like I have like the screen where I can see myself, but if I put on this monitor, it kind of looks weird because it doesn't look like I'm looking at you, which I guess I could look at the camera, but I also want to keep track of my own thing. I don't know, this doesn't really look like I'm looking at you either, so I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it is 1:08 p.m. here in Birmingham, Alabama. It is, as almost always, a rainy, gloomy day. It rains like every day here. Not a fan. What's up, Tom? What's up, Steven, Nintendo, Joey, Laney, Serge? What we actually had, like last year, we had a drought in Alabama, and it didn't rain for like I think like 50 days straight, and that was just like really crazy for us. We were just like, what is going on? This is not normal. My boyfriend wants to know what video games you play. Currently, the only video games that I am playing are Dragon Ball FighterZ and League of Legends. Those are the only two video games I play right now. I'm really enjoying Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's dope. And League of Legends fulfills my sort of competitive urge. I really enjoy this the challenge of that type of game. Nice visuals, thank you. What are my opinions on Destiny? I don't know. I back Destiny, I guess. Assuming you're talking about the YouTuber / streamer Destiny and not like the video game Destiny or the general concept of Destiny. I guess you have to ask a more specific question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I probably agree with Destiny on like 85% of things. I think sometimes he's a little too memey for my taste, but you know, it works for his audience. He's a entertainer. He's a performer. He's doing what he does for his audience. What do I think of Destiny's goatee? I don't know. He's rocking it. I cut off my soul patch. I did like a poll on the internet about soul patches. And the results were inconclusive actually, but I cut mine off, and it's kind of weird because you can still see sort of like the 5 o'clock shadow version of it, but I think I like it better with it off. What can we do about global warming? Well, I'm definitely not smart enough to know the complete answer to that, but something. We can do anything. Something other than nothing is what we should do about global warming. And there are a lot of politicians in America, at least, that are determined to have us do nothing about it. There just needs to be sort of a nation or a worldwide effort to change just how we do things, and to, you know, limit, for example, our carbon emissions and stuff like that. It's just got to be like literally worldwide. What can we do about global warming deniers? I don't know. But we need to, as people, I don't know, like, the only person you can control is yourself. You can't really force someone to believe something if they are determined not to believe it. So what happens is you know, do your research, you back up the facts. Yeah, Steven, that's what I was getting at. And you vote for people that believe facts. And then you find out if you live in a country where more people believe facts than not. And if you happen to live in a country where more people don't believe facts, then, you know, that's just unfortunate. But I don't know if there's anything you could do about that. You can try to raise awareness. You can do your best to try and make good arguments for your position, but that's about all you can do. I do believe, however, that more people believe facts than don't believe facts, but politicians are really good at getting people to disbelieve facts. So it's an ongoing battle. It's not easy. So check out Lurker of Chalice. What is that? I feel like I look shiny. I think it's just because it's so humid and hot right now here. Black metal. Well, black metal is usually not my jam, but maybe I'll check it out. It actually was sunny a couple days ago. It was a really nice day. We had like 2 really nice days in a row, like a week ago, but then it went right back to just being rainy and gloomy. So where is everybody from? I try to remember to ask that every time, because I try to just gather the data about who actually comes to the live streams. YouTube probably tells me though. I bet there's analytics for it. What up, fellow Alabamian? Oh, what's up from Alabama? That's dope. It's pretty sunny today here in northern, is that Minnesota? Though we did get like a foot of snow last night. Yeah, it's like hot. It's like summer weather here these days. It's like 70, 80 degrees. I have a feeling it's probably going to get cold again before it's all done, though. We often have like just a random cold streak like in March before, you know, it actually starts getting warm for real. France, Ireland, England, Canada, Colorado. A lot of non-Americans here today. Indiana, California. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, and went to school in Tuscaloosa, but I've been in Duluth, Minnesota for 2.5 years. Awesome. I also went to school in Tuscaloosa, and I have a lot of friends from Huntsville. Well, I don't have a lot of friends from Huntsville, but I have acquaintances that live in Huntsville. What's considered cold in Alabama? I mean, it gets down to like single digits Fahrenheit. We don't usually get in the negative or anything like that, but just, like for example, a couple months ago, I think it was like November, late November, it got down to like 8 degrees, and that's really quite cold. But we have very, very short winters in Alabama. And they're kind of sporadic. Like it'll be really cold for like a week, and then the temperature will get a little bit more moderate, and then it'll get hot, and then it'll randomly get really cold again for another week. But then it'll be just summer for the rest of the year. Chicago, Texas. What's up? I also speak French because I have to in Quebec. I need to learn some languages. I've been saying this my whole life, but one day. In Germany, there's a conspiracy theory that say my city doesn't exist. Now that's interesting. That's interesting to be aware of a conspiracy theory that you know for a fact isn't true because of your lived experience. It's got to be a pretty bizarre feeling. Yes, Spanish is definitely the one that I would learn first because I have family members that speak Spanish. And it's just, I think it's a cool language. It sounds cool to me. Do I have any trips planned? Not really, because I don't have any money. But if I somehow make a bunch of money this year, then maybe I'll plan a trip. A friend of mine is getting married in Jamaica later this year. And if I somehow have the money, I'd like to go. Meridian, Idaho. Isn't that conspiracy satirical? It's more like a national joke. Oh, it's kind of like a joke. It's a meme. I mean, assuming I could afford it, I would like to visit just pretty much everywhere. I want to go to Canada. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to like Brazil. Like I just want to try everywhere. Do you think the Black Panther movie being made by a big corporation undermines the cultural significance of the film? Absolutely not. Would I go to VidCon? Absolutely. I've been to VidCon before. If I could afford it, I would definitely go. I would go every year if I could afford it, but it's really expensive if you don't get invited. My hope is that they'll invite me back. But it doesn't look like, well, there's still time. for them to invite people, but I'm guessing that I won't get invited this year. I got invited 2 years ago, and it was like one of the best experiences ever. But I haven't been invited back since then. But I think they invite people all the way throughout like April and May, so there's still a chance. But the people who run VidCon they've changed people, so I may not be on the radar of the new people. Like before, they like knew of me, you know, because I've like emailed with them before and stuff, and so I thought that may be why I got invited. But in Quebec, where we speak French, there's a panic about English taking over. I think that bilingualism is the answer, but this is a rare position. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of an irrational fear, but I kind of understand the sort of pride in your like culture and stuff. But whatever happens, I guarantee you that everyone will get used to it and no one will care, you know, in 10 years. Yeah, I'm not quite at 100K. It's not really about subscriber count. Like they do want to invite, like most people, they do want to invite large YouTubers, because that encourages people to buy tickets because they want to see YouTubers they like. But they also, and I give them credit for this, they also try to invite a lot of smaller YouTubers, just to sort of give them the opportunity to check it out and to be excited about YouTube, I guess. So it's not necessarily your subscriber count. Like for example, Ricky Pointer, who's a YouTuber, I think she has like 60,000-ish subscribers, but I think she gets invited every year because they just know who she is, and she's like considered like, you know, a member of the community and all that stuff. Someone call Hank Green and tell him to invite T1J. Yeah, he probably has some say in it, but I don't think he's in charge of that at all. Like he probably literally doesn't even look at the list of invitees. But I'm sure if he was like, hey, you need to invite this person, they would probably do it. But I would love to go, because when I went last year, or when I went 2 years ago, or was it 2 or 3 years ago? It was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2016. It was like amazing. It was like one of the best experiences ever. And it's sort of the thing. Like I talk shit about YouTube all the time. I think YouTube is like super flawed and has a lot of problems, but the sort of creator community like is just that. Those are my people. Like I felt so at home, and I felt like I was around people that understood me, which is a feeling that I don't get often. When you like in your normal life and you tell people that you're a YouTuber, no one really understands what that means. How do I choose my stream highlights? I don't know. I just sort of look through the live streams and see if there's it's just like a decent segment where I say something that I think makes for, you know, a coherent argument, or at least semi-coherent, and I talk long enough for it to fit a whole video. Because sometimes I make a point, but it's just like a 10-second response, and I don't want to make like a 10-second video. But speaking of stream highlights, I've gotten some feedback that the stream highlights are too frequent. So I'm gonna tone that down. Like my idea was people would appreciate more content, even if some of the content was a little less substantial than the main content. But apparently people are sort of like, you know, they're seeing the video and being a little disappointed that it's not a normal video. And I guess I could label them better and just label them stream highlight. And, you know, a lot of that was just me trying to trick YouTube into showing people my video. But like these days, I'm thinking more about my audience than thinking about YouTube. So, but I think I'm just gonna be a little bit less frequent with them, or maybe I'll put them on my second channel or something. I don't know. And I met Anita. I did meet Anita, and she was a normal person. She was shorter than I thought she was. I don't know why I thought she was taller. She doesn't, you know, when I look at videos now, she doesn't look tall, but for some reason I thought that she was taller. What is my current view on veganism? This is a question I get asked a lot on the stream, but I don't know. I think veganism is fine, but I also don't think that there's any reason for me to do it. But I'm not like antagonistic towards veganism or vegans like a lot of people are. Like, I think it's fine. It's great. Go for it. It's awesome. I think it's a great idea. Videos tend to do that, make people look taller. Yeah. But I honestly, like, I think what I'm gonna do actually is I might just do the stream highlights on the second channel, but I want to do, what I might do is take the idea from the stream highlight and just make a regular video, but just like a short video. Like I have this idea where I'm just gonna make like short thoughts. I need a like a snappy title for the for this segment, but it's like a minute video where I like share a thought instead of like the normal, like, you know, 7 to 10 minute video that I do. Like if it's just an idea that I don't want to make a full video about, or I just don't have enough to say, I could just make like a short 1 minute thought. And I feel like people will appreciate that more than the stream highlight, because I could like organize it better and I'm not like stumbling and stammering and repeating myself like I do when I'm streaming. I don't know. Yeah, I saw Unnatural Vegan's response video, and I left a long comment in response to it on her video. But yeah, I don't know. I think that for the most part she was civil, but I think that, I don't know. I don't think she was being very fair to me in the video. And she said some stuff that was just actually ridiculous. Like she compared meat eating to, I think, to pedophilia, which is ridiculous. Yeah, almond milk is good, but I think I'm gonna try soy milk, because I like work out and I'm trying to add more protein to my diet, and almond milk just has no protein, but soy milk does and regular milk does, but I don't like regular milk. That's the problem. But I tried this vanilla soy milk recently that was really good. I'm not sure if I agree with you. I think that she was trying to say that they are wrong in the same way. Like I understand how analogies work, that you're not saying that the two things are the same, but I think that she was arguing that they are wrong in the same way. I'm super fine with lab grown meat. If it tastes good, let's go for it. You found out it was adopted today. You were adopted today. That seems pretty heavy. Even if she was using it to explain the fault of the argument, I still think that it was a ridiculous argument, because I don't think that it was a compelling argument. But I don't think that that's what she was doing. Have I tried the Impossible Burger? No. And I think the part of it was my fault with the veganism video because of the way I formatted my video. But and I made a whole video about why response videos are bad, in like just inherently, even if you like have good faith entering the conversation. The format is just bad, and it doesn't lend itself to making good arguments or being fair to the original argument. It's just a bad format, and that was a good example of that. Quick thoughts, inside insight. That's pretty cool. If you want to know more about that, you can watch my video. I hate response videos. But the way that I set up my video was, okay, here's one argument, and I'm gonna respond to this argument specifically, like that, and then here's the next argument, respond to that. But the way that she responded to it was, she responded to my argument without considering the context of the whole video. She took out one section and was like, okay, this is my response, but she didn't, like, out of context basically. And maybe that's my fault because of the way I made the video, because I did section the video off. But the point of making a video is for people to watch the whole video and consider it all together as one argument. Chop up parts out and respond to that. That's like one of the problems with response videos, because it's hard not to do that. I'm pretty sure I've only made one response video ever. And I think that, like, it has the same flaws as any other response video, but I don't think that I said anything in the video that I don't like agree with. Plant-based, not lab-grown, tastes like real beef, but kind as a burger connoisseur, tastes like low-grade cafeteria burger. Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems unlikely that it actually tastes like real beef, and cafeteria burger sounds gross. But you know, I don't have any like principled stance against non-meat. Like, I just like food. If it's good, I'll eat it. Is the audio fucked up? My mic might be messing up. I hit the microphone, which messes it up. I need to get a shock mount. That might help. Yeah, if I touch the microphone, it makes a noise. That's my B. I believe that is what a shock mount is intended to fix. So I need to get one of the. I had one, but it's like broken. There's a It's really dope. Like if you need like audio equipment and you have decent credit, go to sweetwater.com and sign up for a Sweetwater credit card, and you can like basically like put audio equipment on layaway, and you can just pay them like $3 a month for like 2 years, and they'll send it to you immediately. It's pretty cool. Have you perhaps seen ContraPoint's live stream about veganism? I don't think I have. Have I watched any good discussions, debates recently? I don't know. I don't watch that many debates and stuff these days. I did watch, speaking of ContraPoint, she just released her discussion with Theron Meyer on her live stream channel, I think. And I watched that. That was pretty cool. There's a cool part where there was like some shitlord dude in the audience, and they like confronted him, and he was, I don't know, it was pretty funny. Amazon has a shock mount rated 4 stars for $10. I'm gonna have to check that out. It seems like a shock mount is not that hard to make. Like it seems like the quality shouldn't vary that much, but I don't know. How accountable should victims be, or when should we tell them how to prevent further aggressions? Obviously not at the start, but I think empowerment implies I can make this not happen again. Well, I don't know. I feel like that depends on what you're a victim of. And I don't know, it's a complicated thing, because a person shouldn't have to walk through life constantly on guard and constantly afraid that they're going to be attacked or whatever. Like we shouldn't expect that from people, and we shouldn't tell people that they have to do that. But obviously there's common sense things you can do to protect yourself. But the thing is, usually most people already know that, and you're just kind of being condescending if you tell them, hey, don't do this. It's like, yeah, I know, I'm an adult. I'm dieting, so I wish to live vicariously through mukbang. Mukbang. Yeah, I don't know. That would just like feel like torture to me if I was watching other people eat stuff that I wanted to eat. There's it's a complicated thing, and you have to be careful with stuff like that, because like I said, people shouldn't have to be on guard 24/7. And if something happens to someone, first of all, it's complete conjecture to say, hey, if you did this, that wouldn't have happened. There's no way you could know that. There's no possible way you could know that, because you're not like a fortune teller. So it's a little bit dubious just to begin with. And often the things that people say are just sort of made up. Like they say stuff that is actually unrelated to the issue. So for example, people say, hey, if that woman wasn't dressed so provocatively, maybe she wouldn't have got assaulted. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. And anyone who knows anything about sexual assault knows that the way people are dressed is completely unrelated to how often it happens. So that's just an example. There are other examples. What do you think of Republicans dragging back the video games responsible for the mass shooting violence? It's just crazy. Like they're just scapegoating. They just literally are trying to find any reason to not have the conversation about guns and gun control. So they'll drag up any old thing that they can find to avoid that conversation. We should just teach people not to rape, assault. Why is this a radical idea? Well, people are hyper defensive. People don't want to deal with the fact that they may be complicit in a culture of violence and assault. People don't like to be introspective. People don't like to admit that the world sucks. Do I watch any media channels? Like, what is an indie media channel? Like Pac-Man? Speaking of hyper defensive, have you noticed how violent the NRA's rhetoric has been getting lately? Lately? I feel like they've been like that for a long time. I might be talking too loud as well. Or maybe, I don't know, the cable might just be bad. I think the cable is bad actually, but it had been just working, so I didn't do anything about it. But I'll probably just replace the cord. The problem is we see, especially when we're talking about assault and sexual stuff, we only think of sexual assault as like Ted Bundy style predators, you know, creeping on people, you know, sneaking around corners and stuff and abducting people. And we think that that's the only thing that counts as assault. So when we say, hey, no, there's a widespread culture of rape and assault in our society, people are like, what do you mean? I'm not a rapist. But, you know, at some point you have to be honest with yourself and you need to wake up and you need to listen to people when they're talking. What was the last show I binge watched? I don't know. I don't watch shows. The last show that I literally binge watched is probably Daredevil. That was like a year ago. I don't really watch TV shows ever. I watch YouTube. I binge watch YouTube. People always say that I'm smart, but I always feel stupid. This leads me to ask, what is intelligence? Well, there's different types of intelligence. I kind of feel that sometimes. Like, I don't really feel that smart. But the thing about it is, most people are somewhat knowledgeable about something or are able to understand a certain thing better than other people. And if you talk about those things a lot, then you probably will sound pretty smart. Like, a good way, I say this all the time, a good way to make yourself not sound smart is to talk about stuff that you don't know anything about. And you get exposed pretty quickly. You can trick a few people, but overall you'll get exposed. We can definitely talk about Black Panther if you'd like. Have I ever watched any anime? I have watched anime. I don't watch it that much though. How do you think people like Harvey Weinstein justify their incredibly shitty behavior to themselves? I really don't know. It's hard for me to even imagine what has to go through someone's head for them to think it's okay. I think you just, especially when you're in a position of power like that, you probably just convince yourself that the rules don't apply to you. That you can do whatever you want because you made it. Do I think IQ is a real thing? IQ is a real thing, but the question is, how useful is it, and how what does it actually, what are the implications of it? And I think it's pretty much the consensus that IQ as a measure of general intelligence is not very useful, but it may be useful as a measure of a certain type of thinking or a certain type of cognitive skill. But I think it's pretty much the consensus that IQ is not very good as a measure of intelligence. I think they settled that like 30 years ago. Jimmy Dore, yeah, stuff like that on YouTube. The only one that I really watch a lot is David Pakman. I'm subscribed to Jimmy Dore, but he's kind of obnoxious, to be honest. Like there's like this segment of like left progressive media and news, like independent news stuff, that they're trying to be like conservative talk radio, like they're trying to mimic that, and it just comes off as obnoxious because conservative talk radio is obnoxious. And I'm not really into it. On the note of Black Panther, I don't actually think it's as important as it's said to be. Moonlight and 12 Years a Slave are bigger steps. Well, I don't think it's a competition. But I do think it's an important movie. Like Black Panther is like, it's like one of the best, it's like one of the most profitable movies of all time, like of all time. And it's a black movie. Like that's pretty big. And it's a movie, I mean, like I said, it's not really a competition. Everything has its place. Yeah, I saw it. I want to see it again. Actually, I saw it once. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Moonlight is definitely an important movie. Not only because it's a black movie, but it's a black queer movie. So that's like really, that's like, you know, two different aspects that um for a movie to, especially for a movie to win Best Picture under those circumstances. Ever feel like the U.S. tries to turn everything into a competition? I could kind of see that. We're very competitive in the United States, um, but there's just sort of this idea where everything has to be compared to something else. Like a lot of people don't seem to understand that two things can exist at the same time. What do I think of Oprah Winfrey running for president? Like, it's a thing that I can't comment on because I don't know her political positions. Once I learn what her policy positions would be, then I could comment. I like Oprah as a person from what I know, but that doesn't mean that she'll have reasonable policy positions. It's funny, like 4chan, like the fucking Russians are like doing 4chan's job better than they are. Vox did a video on CNN treating politics as a sport. I haven't seen that. I need to watch it. Vox makes a lot of really good videos. Was the Ghostbusters movie even good? Talking about the one with the women? From what I understand, it's okay. It's like a 5 out of 10 basically from what I understand. It had a really bad, the trailers were pretty bad, so I skipped it. Even though I like all the people that are in the movie, it just did not look like it was good. It could have been good, but it looks like it was just a sort of a cash grab. Do you think it's a good moment to start a leftist YouTube channel? It depends on what you mean by good. If you make really good content, yeah. If you can make content that is going to make people excited and people really get into it, I think it's a perfect time, because I think that there is a hunger for that right now. But it's a challenge to make progressive content that's good and that's reasonable, but that also has widespread appeal. I think that only like 4 people do it well right now. So if you are unable to do that, then it may not be a good time, because, or at least, like, I feel like if you want to make a YouTube channel, you should just do it because it's awesome. But unless you're able to make some really good content, you should not expect, like instant results or anything. The interesting thing about Black Panther is people are talking about this like it's just some conspiracy to appease the SJWs to make this black movie in Africa. But it's like, these characters in this universe has existed already. Like, they're just literally just adapting something that already existed. They're not making up some new African story just to appease the fucking SJWs. And this movie was announced like literally like 10 years ago. So it's not like some 2018 conspiracy. It's like all of those characters were invented back in the day, like in the 70s. They already existed. That world already existed. Wakanda already existed. And like people were like, oh, they put the white dude in there just to sort of appease the white people and make it seem like they're trying to. It's like, no, that character is from the comics. They invented him like in the 70s and 80s. It's a character from the comics. Everett Ross is definitely one of the main characters of the Black Panther universe. That's a real thing. Pac-Man's alright, but sometimes a touch neoliberal. I mean, I guess I see what you mean, but I feel like people would probably call me neoliberal, so. Yeah, what would they say if they made a reboot of Malcolm X? It's crazy that we even pay this much attention to this fringe group of weirdos that are just yelling on the internet. I guess they're pretty loud. Have I seen the show Luke Cage? I've only seen like a little bit of it. I need to watch it though. Yeah, I don't think I'm neoliberal, but I think that people might call me that. There's just like this idea of, hey, look at these stupid Republicans and these stupid conservatives. Look how stupid they are. Aren't we so much smarter than them? Look at them. That's like the vibe I get from a lot of these people, like Jimmy Dore and like Secular Talk and the Majority Report, stuff like that. And I just don't really, I'm not really into that vibe. I don't like this sort of like elitist, we're so much smarter than them because we're liberals or we're on the left. Look at what he said today. That's really dumb. Ha ha. We're so smart. And I feel like Pac-Man does that less, and that's why I sort of am into him. He still does it sometimes, but I feel like he does it less. But to be fair, I haven't watched Jimmy Dore in a long time. I'm subscribed to him, but I never click on his videos. Uh, so he may, it may be a little bit better now. But yeah, I really need to finish. I especially want to watch Luke Cage now, because I'm in this like I'm in this pro black phase right now after watching Black Panther. That shit was dope. Black Panther also has probably the best villain out of in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or at least the most interesting villain. Cuz they have some really cool villains. But in terms of like the most interesting character-wise, you got to give it to Killmonger in my opinion. Yeah. No spoilers. It's actually not really a spoilable movie. Like, there's no like big twist or anything really. But I understand. Just want to enjoy it. Killmonger is too attractive. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I think it's my favorite Marvel movie now. It has unseated Guardians of the Galaxy as my favorite Marvel movie. And this is just Marvel period, not just MCU, but like just all of them. No, I didn't eat a Sunday, guys, and there's no plan to eat a Sunday. The titles of my streams are suggested by my patrons, and I just put whatever they give me. And it's kind of, I guess it kind of halfway trolls you guys. It's kind of funny to me. But also sometimes it gets a conversation started. Do I archive my streams? Yes, they're unlisted though. But if you go to my channel page, youtube.com/theonejanitor, scroll down a little bit, you'll see a playlist with all of my streams, and you can go watch them. But I just don't want to sort of clutter up my videos by making them public. But there's definitely an unlisted playlist, and it's on my channel page. Like, I was considering making them public, but I don't know. It just makes my channel look ugly when there's a stream popping up every week in the list. What do you think about the left and its relationship with communism? I don't know. I feel like I need to ask a more specific question. I think that people's interest in communism is, I get it. It makes sense, especially given the state of progressive politics today. I feel like it fits right in. But I don't personally. I'm not personally a communist, and I don't personally really favor the ideas of communism. Do you follow many right-leaning channels to get the other perspective? Are there any you can recommend as having an opposing views to your own, which are presented reasonably with facts? Not really. There are people who are not, I don't know, there are people who I would sort of consider moderate that I'm okay with listening to, like Theron Meyer or Philip DeFranco. But in my opinion, or at least when I think of sort of right-wing American conservatism, I think it's just like inherently ridiculous. And I can't even think of, like, the idea of someone like making fact-based arguments. It's just sort of it's an oxymoron. Like, it doesn't follow, because you can't do that with these ideas. Shuri was my favorite character too. She was dope. Yeah, I think you're right that they do criticize the left a lot more. But it's just, I don't know, it's just like a vibe that I get whenever I watch it. It doesn't really sit well with me. I think that there are people, I can't think of anybody on YouTube, but there are intelligent people that I guess are right wing. But I can't really think of any on YouTube right now. The example that I like to give is Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. He's a hardcore libertarian, like conservative libertarian, and I think he's a smart guy, and I think he seems to be a good person. But I just think that libertarianism is like utterly ridiculous. Yeah, what was the last movie Angela Bassett was in? I realized, like, I have not seen Angela Bassett in a long time, but maybe I just missed out. I mean, I try to expose myself to the arguments that are being made, but I just can't think of any like actual like YouTubers or content creators that I would actually recommend that are actually right wing. Like, can you guys name any? Are there any like conservative, like 100% conservative or right wing YouTubers that you think are reasonable? I just can't even think of any. I haven't seen any of her raps, but I've heard about them. I'm definitely gonna follow her though. Yeah, I think Penn and Teller are both libertarians. Um, I've just seen Penn talk more. Why do you think right-wing commentators and pundits are so obsessed with what college students are saying and doing? They seem to like using students as a proxy for all progressive leftist thinking. Well, it's just an easy scapegoat, I think. Because, college students, well, for one, whenever college students do something that's like notable, it's always sort of like this big media thing, and you can easily like point to like an article. It's like, hey, these college kids did this, and college kids are just easy scapegoats because college kids are just figuring out how to live as a person. Like, they like barely know who they are, so they're gonna approach things not as delicately as they need to sometimes. That's just gonna happen. So it's likely that they might do something that you can, make a soundbite out of. So I just think it's easy. I think that's why it's just easy. Because I think that a lot of right-wing talking points, the thing that they lack is any factual or data basis. So whenever they find something that they can actually point to, they like jump on it because they know that that's the weak part of their argument. Their arguments are always based on emotional appeals and tradition and stuff like that. But whenever something happens, they're like, oh, well, what about this? I got one. Like, I remember the Evergreen thing. I think that's what it's called, the Evergreen School or whatever. I don't know how many people like tweeted at me, what about the Evergreen? Like, they found their one example. It's like, what about the Evergreen situation? I think my cord on my mic is just messed up. Um, sorry. I don't know. I don't think I can fix it right now. It looks like just every few minutes the mic just kind of pops a little bit. I thought it was because I was hitting it, but I'm definitely not hitting it anymore. I just tried to unplug it and plug it back in. I don't know if that's gonna help, but I think I have another cord, so I'll try to fix it. My bad. I think Bill Maher is pretty solidly a liberal, but I think that people might call him a neoliberal. I don't know. I'm not sure his full views on everything. Joe Rogan is a libertarian. Is he? I guess I could see that. I don't know if I've ever heard him talk about it. Let the madness begin. Mad. I never heard that. I'll check that out. Oh yeah, Maddox. Maddox is definitely like super centrist on everything. And I mean, I like Maddox. So, but I don't think he's right wing. That's the thing. What are your views on Hollywood movies pandering to political views? I don't know how much of that is actually a thing. I think movies are just made by people with certain political views, so it comes out in the movie. I also think that a lot of times what people call political views are just like actual moral views. Like, hey, people should be equal, or hey, don't be an asshole to people just because they're different. Like that's not really a political view. That's it's just a moral view. Or like, hey, people other than straight white people exist in the world, so we're going to represent that in our movie. Like that's not really a political view. That's just like not being an asshole. Well, I think Maddox is at a point where he kind of understands, and this is the point that I'm getting to. He understands that it's just all bullshit. It's just a bunch of people yelling at each other and nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. I'd say there's more pro-war propaganda on film than pro-SJW if that's what you're after. Yeah, sorry my mic's messing up today. Thank you for the comment, the Carolina Parakeet. That's a good name. I feel like we need more movies that promote sort of cooperation, that promote the idea that you're not special. Like I think that's a thing in movies that I would like to see more of. Because like movies are always like, movies are like, yeah, work together, but it's like this couldn't have happened if this extremely special, unique individual didn't find their purpose, like that sort of thing. And it doesn't really reflect reality. Maybe that's just more interesting to make a movie about. But what if there was a movie where it's like, hey, we're just normal and we have to cooperate and work together with everyone in the world in order to make things happen? Like, I understand a movie has to have a protagonist, but it would be cool to see more of that. I'm not saying it's bad, but it would just be cool. I guess the Lego movie kind of does that. Or that's kind of like the twist. I bought this little mug jar bottle. I guess bottle. I bought this from the dollar store. It cost $1. And it's like just a really poorly made bottle. It has like this little ring around the top. You probably can't see it. But it's like this flat ring and water just like gets stuck on there. So whenever I drink, it always spills. Like I can't stop it from spilling. And I feel like, well, I was gonna say that that's an American thing, but I guess it's like throughout cultures, this idea of like the chosen one. Yo, anime is mainstream now because Michael B. Jordan likes anime, so now it's cool. I think everyone does want to feel special, but I feel like it's important to our growth as humans to understand that we're not any more special than anyone else. And I think it may be dangerous to convince people that they're somehow special. What if the chosen one is the villain? Well, there's a film theory episode that suggests that Agent Smith is actually the one and not Neo. I don't personally buy it. As a Matrix nerd, he was totally wearing Saiyan armor and Black Panther. Yeah, people were saying that it was inspired by Vegeta, but I'm not sure if that's true. The Last Jedi is actually a great movie about shunning the one true hero and working together. I actually didn't see The Last Jedi. I showed my girlfriend The Matrix for the first time a few days ago. She said it felt corny because it'd been parodied so much. Yeah, it might be hard to watch if you've only if you've only seen the parodies before you saw the whole movie. Um, where's the Sundae clickbait? I feel like that's pretty poor clickbait. Do people click on stuff just to watch me eat a sundae? Yeah, that was a heavily parodied movie. But if you don't know this about me, I'm a huge Matrix fan. I'm a nerd. I feel about the Matrix how other people feel about Star Wars. Um, Least bad Matrix sequel. I like the Matrix sequels, so I'm on a different plane than most people when it comes to that. The second one is definitely better than the third one though. The Animatrix was dope. I thought it was tight. How does it make you feel that the right wings have lifted terms like red pill from the Matrix? I don't know. It's silly. It's I don't know. If it wasn't for something, well, you know that the idea of red pill that originally originated in like MRA circles and like pickup and shit. Like fucking that's where it like that's where the first um connection with red pill and sort of conservative right wing anti progressive stuff and then it just developed on. So from the beginning, it was all really ridiculous, and it was like really cringy. The best part was when this chick is dying for 10 hours in the end of the third one. Yeah, I mean, sort of that whole arena, MGTOW, MRA, that whole arena, they're all like sort of related. When I watch a Matrix TV reboot, I would check it out. It's hard to imagine that it would work. Like if you watch The Matrix now, that is a super like Y2K, early like 2000, the year 2000 movie. It just like it looks really stupid by today's standards. Thoughts on Wachowski sisters in general? I honestly don't know enough about all this other stuff. I just know that they made some movies that I like. Yeah, it's very dated. Hella industrial and techno, bunch of goths in trench coat. Yeah. It was cool at the time. It was really cool at the time. Um, but it's not anymore. And I guess that's one thing that Star Wars has over um the Matrix is Star Wars went with this like it's like a futuristic slash steampunk slash western. Like they found this really good combination that just seems to defy time, and they really worked that out. It's pretty brilliant, to be honest. Am I going to see the new movie by Ex Machina director Alex Garland? What is the movie? Yeah, I've never seen Speed Racer. I heard that Speed Racer is underrated. Oh yeah, watching people eat that's a whole genre. That's a whole thing. What's on turfs and swerfs? I think they're wrong. I don't know what you want me to say. People who are uh, trans exclusive, I think, are wrong. They're probably being assholes. And people who aren't sex positive and who are sex worker exclusive are also wrong. It's called annihilation. Okay. How do you feel about video game companies like Nintendo re-releasing the older consoles? I mean, it's fine. Nostalgia is a good way to make money, and I'm not hating on them for playing the game. I just don't. For me, if I wanted to play SNES games, it is trivial to do that for free. It may not be technically legal, but it's very easy to literally download a zip file with every single SNES game on it. Uh, I'm not gonna pay $100 for a fucking emulator that looks like a Super Nintendo. don't really know the details of the Rose McGowan thing. Oh yeah, I kind of want to see I, Tonya. Didn't I used to have a gaming channel? Yeah. It exists. I haven't put anything on there in a while. I was thinking about um putting some Dragon Ball Fighters content on it because that's like the game I'm playing right now. Well, the thing that happened is I wanted to sort of get my main channel going, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just focus on my main channel, get like a good system going where I'm like constantly making videos. So I just didn't have a lot of time. I wasn't putting a lot of time into other projects like my second channel or my gaming channel. But the thing is, YouTube is so weird now. I don't even know how to do it anymore. So my channel never really got going in the way that I wanted to, and I'm like still working on it. But I'm trying to get back into the mode where I'm like, okay, let's just make some content. Like I'm trying just to focus now on just making content, and I'm just trying to just not give a shit about YouTube and the YouTube algorithm. Like I'm just trying to be done with it because it's very frustrating and confusing. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just gonna make stuff. So hopefully I can get to the point where I make like my video for my main channel, put something up on the second channel, maybe stream some video games, do this stream every week, and then put some content on the gaming channel. But it's a lot of work. That's the thing. People don't really appreciate how much work it is to be a YouTube content creator. My current rank in League, Silver 4. I had like a little bit, like I said, it's usually pretty easy for me to get out of bronze, and I did that pretty quickly. But now I got to figure out actually how to play the game. I think I'm learning though. I've got a pretty good win rate. I just got to play more. Did I play any of the Matrix video games? Yeah. I played all of them. I didn't play the MMO, the Matrix Online. I didn't play that one, and it looked bad. But I wanted to play it, but I just wasn't able to at the time. I played Enter the Matrix. It's pretty bad, but it has like a bunch of cool cutscenes that are basically just scenes from the movie. So it's worth it just for that if you're a Matrix nerd. And then I played Path of Neo, which I liked a lot actually. Have I played The Witcher 3? I have not actually. I played The Witcher 2. I've missed out on a lot of video games because I'm poor. So I don't buy video games unless I just really am excited to play them. So I miss out on most of the popular video games these days. But I did buy Dragon Ball Fighters because I was really excited to play it. The last game I bought before that was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And both purchases were worth it. Do I like watching speedruns? I do. I love watching speedruns. What are my thoughts on Fallout? I've never played any Fallout game. Winter Olympics. I've missed pretty much the whole Olympics so far. I saw like a little bit of figure skating one day. Humble Bundle. I guess I'll have to check out Humble Bundle. I need to get a console too. Well, I need to buy a console. The only console I have is a Wii U. I play games on my PC, but my PC is pretty bad. I actually have Fallout 1, but I've never played it. It's like on my computer right now because I think it was free or something one day, and I just like, okay, I'll download it. And I feel like it might be really cool, or it might just be so dated that I just can't enjoy it. New legislation about gambling in games. I don't know what you're talking about, actually. The United States has always been really weird about gambling. Oh, like loot boxes. Oh. So like buying loot boxes is gambling. Predatory gaming. Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. It is gambling. It literally is. But the thing about it is, like, if people want to gamble, then let them do it. Like, who gives a shit? As long as you're forthcoming about the odds. I think that's what's happening now. Like games, like League. I know League of Legends just released the actual odds of getting certain things. I think the thing with like, remember with Star Wars, it was basically like it's gonna be literally impossible for you to unlock everything in this game, and that's kind of shitty, right? Yeah, I think it's about how dishonest you're being or how misleading you're being. Because people, the reason that you gamble is for the hope that you might actually get something good. But if it's so unlikely that you're going to get something good, or it's so unlikely that you're going to continue to get good things if you keep playing, then that's kind of shitty, I think. But I don't necessarily have a problem with loot boxes. Like, I feel like if someone is willingly wants to pay for something, then you should let them do it. I do think it kind of sucks if it messes up your game, but that's on how you design your game. For example, a game like Overwatch or League of Legends, you can't pay to get buffs in the game or something. You can't pay for a competitive advantage. And at least not in any like reasonable way. And that's because they just design their games like that. And I think more games should be designed like that. Like, I play fucking I'm addicted to Clash Royale. It's a mobile game, but it's like it's pay to win for sure. But it's kind of a brilliantly designed game because it doesn't feel like it's pay to win. It feels like you can just get on and play as long as you want. And if you lose, it's because your opponent was better than you. But really, if you spend a lot of money, you're gonna have an advantage because you're gonna have better cards, higher level cards. You're gonna be higher level, which makes you stronger. Stuff like that. Yeah, pay to win, I think, is a problem. I don't like pay to win, but just the general concept of paying for loot boxes, I think, can be done well. But the thing is, people don't like pay to win. It's become accepted in mobile games, and I don't exactly know how I feel about that. But in normal games, people don't like that. I feel like people won't play your game if that's the case, and I don't think that any developer wants that. But I could be wrong. I remember playing Diablo 3 when it first came out on PC. It had the real money auction house, which was an awful idea. And that's not even a competitive game. That's not even a game where you play against other people. But the thing is, you literally can't do the content in the game because your character's not strong enough unless you pay money to just literally buy the exact item that you need. It was so dumb. Thoughts on Shovel Knight? Shovel Knight is amazing. I feel like Shovel Knight is like one of the best games ever. Yeah, when they first announced the real money auction house, I thought it was cool because it's like, oh man, because I remember because I play a lot of WoW and I play a lot of MMOs, and I've put so much time and effort into a game like WoW, and I've thought to myself out loud, like, if I put this much effort into literally any job, I would probably have a lot of money. So when they first announced that, hey, you could actually make money by farming this game, that was appealing to me because it's like, oh man, if they had that in WoW, I'd be making money. Um, but then when you actually saw it in practice, it was like, oh, actually, this is not a good idea. All right, Debo, thank you for coming to the stream. Appreciate it. You can't make money playing WoW unless you're like a streamer or something. But I was saying, like, if I put as much effort into a real job as I put into grinding dungeons and farming gear and stuff in WoW, I would probably have a lot more money. It appears that the monthly subscription is going to be a thing of the past, but you know, it works for WoW. Cuz WoW is just not it's not just a game, like it's like a whole fucking universe. Like, I don't think they literally could afford to keep the game running if they didn't charge a subscription. Yes, but would you rather have spent that time on a job you don't enjoy? Absolutely not, which is why I didn't do it. But it's just an interesting thing. Like when you know, it's like I've been playing WoW for like 18 hours straight. I used to do that. I don't really do that anymore, but it's like, imagine if I cared this much about any job. But now I'll work on YouTube for like 18 hours straight. So I have not played EVE Online actually. But anyway, yeah, pay to win is bad. Like, like, I will literally do something in the game that's not fun for like 8 hours just because I'm trying to like grind out my character or whatever, and it's just crazy to think about. But I'm not really on that same level these days. Like if I'm not having fun in the game, like I don't really like grinding out stuff. Like I still like MMOs, but I'm not gonna like play for 18 hours a day every day just so I can get some good shoulder pads. Like I'm not into it anymore. I did not think that so many people would actually be interested in me eating a sundae. That's like really funny to me. Yeah, we sort of solved the whole violent video game problem like 20 years ago, and people are trying to like resurface it, but I don't think it's gonna work. And it's just not. It doesn't make any sense because you realize they play all the same video games in other countries that we play here, and they don't shoot up their schools. So it's probably not the video games. Some people like grinding. I don't, it's not too much wrong with it, but I can only do it for so long, and then my eyes start rolling back in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go drink a beer. It's a gun culture problem, not a video game problem. I agree. It's a gun culture problem, and it's also a gun problem, but definitely a gun culture problem. So I'm gonna stream for about 20 more minutes, guys. We're rounding up on 2 hours. I actually had a lot of people watching today. Hopefully that means that there's a trend of increasing viewers. It's kind of weird. Like sometimes I'll come in and it'll be like 20 people, which is fine. Like I appreciate that anybody even watches. But I think we got up to almost 60 at one point today. And it says there's 44 currently, which is above average. I feel like that's a good number. Like between 50 and 100 people, I feel like that's a really good number because it's not so many people that you don't see any messages, but it's enough people to where the chat is flowing and people are talking. How often do I stream? I stream every Sunday, usually. Yeah, I just try to stream every Sunday. Sometimes I'll miss the Sunday and I'll do it on Monday, or sometimes if it's like a holiday or if it's something going on, then I'll just skip it altogether. But basically every Sunday, that just look out for it every Sunday around 1 p.m. Central Time. You can do the calculations to figure out what time that is in your area. Yeah, those kids are like really inspiring, and those kids in Florida. Why won't America just catch up with the rest of the world on guns, healthcare, and education? You know what? That's a good question. I wish I knew the answer. Yeah, it's hard to keep up when you've got like 700 people watching. Like I'm not gonna be mad because that means that people like you and you have a big audience and you're engaging people in a good way. So I wouldn't be mad, but it would just be kind of disappointing because it would be hard to keep up, and you know that you have to like basically ignore most everybody. But I that's sort of it's a double-edged sword because I want to grow, I want to get bigger, but that's sort of one of the downfalls. But I was talking to someone recently about this. Like, I would rather be in the sort of 100,000 to 500,000 subscriber range and just stay there, but just find ways to increase my income. Like if I stayed at my subscriber count, but my income grew, I'd be fine with that. I don't need 1 million subscribers. I just want to be able to live and make videos for a living without being stressed out. That's like all I want. I don't really need the subscribers. I was talking about this last time, but almost every pro-gun or anti-gun control argument it flies in the face of factual information and data, and they're just like emotional appeals. And as you might know, emotional appeals usually don't make for good arguments. What if we make it so Second Amendment only count for weapons that were available at its time of writing? Well, that would be interesting. People running around with like muskets and shit. Why did I start making videos? Well, I just like making stuff. That's just sort of a thing that I've always been into. I've expressed it in a lot of different ways. Like when I was younger, I used to draw a lot. I was sort of known as a kid just like to draw. And then once I got the internet, I would just do everything. I would like create little blogs and websites. I created a web comic for a little while. I did. I made a forum for my friends. Like I just like making stuff. I like making things that didn't exist before and putting them into the world. So when YouTube came out, is natural. It's like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do YouTube. And then add that onto the fact that I also am a very opinionated person and a person that likes to have discussions about interesting topics. So it was just a very good fit for me. Zoranthius, thank you for the $4. Hey Kevin, you want any of this stir fry I just made? That sounds good. Do you still draw? Rarely. It's kind of sad. But what happened actually was when I got to college, I discovered that I like writing more than I like drawing. And so I've just been writing instead of drawing. And that's like that's another reason why YouTube worked out really well for me, because I just get to write. All right, Ruish, thank you for coming to the stream. I don't know if I said that right. Should we arm teachers? I don't think so. Is there a big subject that you think you can make a multi-part series of videos about? I mean, probably. I don't know. It would just have to. It would depend. I feel like the style of video that I do usually doesn't lend itself to that sort of thing. Because my videos, or the way that I see my videos is, I try to start a conversation about something. I don't want to be perceived as the expert on something. So if I'm like making this huge presentation where I'm like, explaining all this stuff over multiple videos, to me that kind of sounds like, hey, here's my fucking dissertation and you guys need to listen to it and pay attention. Like that's sort of the vibe I get from that sort of thing. And that's not really how I think of my videos. I think of my videos as, hey, let's start a conversation. This is how I feel about this thing. Now you take it and talk about it, think about it if you want to. and go further if you want, sort of thing. Do you think the news will ever be unbiased? Well, not really. Everything is biased to something. But as I said before, I don't think that bias is the problem. Like, if you watch my YouTube channel, my channel is definitely biased towards certain things. I'm biased towards progressive politics. I'm biased towards anti-cynicism. I'm biased towards compassion. But I don't think that's a problem. The problem is if you're intentionally misleading people or lying or just straight out, saying things that are false. That's where the problem comes in. But that's not inherent to the idea of bias. It doesn't have to be. But the fact that bias exists means that you should not ever rely on one source as your source for everything. You always need to get different sources because everyone is biased to something. Do you think the news should make a profit for their companies? You mean like the people who own them or their advertisers or something? I think that free news is problematic because of how desperate they are to make money. That's when they're likely to do things like misleading headlines and, overzealously chasing stories before they have all the info and stuff like that. But it's up to us to figure out which ones are good sources and which ones aren't. Do you ever listen to conservative talk radio out of morbid curiosity? Not really. I used to, but it just makes me sad and mad now, and I don't want to put myself through that. This is my thing. Like, I'm trying to avoid making my life miserable. So I'm not going to intentionally expose myself to things that I know are going to make me mad. There's just no reason to do that. Yeah, I think the Black Panther Party is definitely a widely misrepresented group. As an atheist, do you still get bothered with existential dread? No, not really. I never had that problem. I find being an atheist very, very freeing. I feel, I don't know. I feel just in control of my own destiny. It's a very good feeling. And it was a very good feeling when I first, especially when I first sort of understood that I'd become an atheist. It was very freeing to me. CGP Grey once said he ignores all news because it's not actionable information. That's interesting. I don't know about that. CGP Grey is way smarter than me, so I I think I have to think about things that he says, but I don't know if I agree with that. I want that on the shirt. Conservative talk shows, they just make me sad. I need to be going. See you next Sunday. Thank you, the man with Tiplin. Thank you for coming to the stream. Manufacturing consent. Yeah, I have not seen that or read it. I should check it out. But yeah, I don't. The thing is, humans run into the news, and humans naturally have bias. It's impossible to escape. And I say, identify your biases and make them known so people understand what they're working with. Could you tell us what pushed you towards atheism? Well, it's basically because I've always been a person that tries to be reasonable and rational. I'm not saying that I was always very good at it, but that was always something that I valued. I always wanted to be rational. I wanted things to make sense. I wanted things to be logical. And at first, I grew up a Christian, and so I was pretty convinced that there was a God and stuff like that. So the way that I sort of interacted with that was sort of this weird Christian apologetics type thing. And I got really into a lot of like Christian philosophers because they were trying to make arguments for God and for Christianity and stuff like that, and it was interesting. But the more you do that over time, you just come to the point where in order for you to believe that there's a dude up in the sky that cares about you and is all powerful and shit like that, regardless of the way that you express that, like you can't do that without at least some degree of faith. Like it's not rational. It's not rational. Like it's not a thing you could logically explain. And over time, I was like, well, if I can't rationally explain it, then there's no reason for me to believe it. And I just realized that at some point, it's like, well, it's not true. Like, why would I believe something that A, is not logically explainable, B, there's no evidence for it? That's like, why would I believe that? That's fucking ridiculous. All right, Warp Scanner, thank you for coming to the stream. As always, what was the last time I went to church? I actually went to church not too long ago because my stepdad is a preacher, or he's like he like did his first sermon recently, and I just went to support him. Every view has some base assumptions you have to make. Yeah, kinda, but those base assumptions don't have to be based on faith. Literally believing something random for no reason, which is basically what faith is. I guess no reason is kind of a glib way to say it, but like for example, even the assumption that logic is, infallible is sort of an assumption, but I think it's a rational assumption because logic works like all the time. I was actually gonna make a video. I was actually gonna make a video about me going to church recently because I I like, it was fine. I didn't hate it. I thought it was going to be really obnoxious, but it was fine. And I was thinking about making a video about that because I thought that was pretty interesting. Am I gonna vote in 2018? Yeah. I don't know if we even. I mean, I think there's some things to vote for, but like the biggest vote we already did was the Doug Jones Roy Moore thing, and we already did that. But there's probably some other things to vote for. What made me go to a church? I went. My stepdad like recently became a pastor, and he did his first sermon, and I just went to support him. Well, the thing about church is just like, it's almost like a fandom. I mean, it is a fandom basically. The problem with religion, and the reason that being a Christian is different from being like a fucking Whovian or a fucking a Harry Potter fan, is that Christians and religious people typically believe that they have access to some objective truth about the universe, and that's just really, really dangerous. It's a really dangerous thing to believe that you have. But beyond that, it's just a bunch of people trying to find some community and just getting really excited about shared interests. Like, that's all it is. And that's why when I was at the church, I was like, this is fine. I was just as like, if I went to a fucking meeting with people who love like My Little Pony, like I would be just as not into it as I was at church. But it's it was, I would think it was harmless. Yeah, the point is no one has access to objective truth, and believing that you do is a problem. Because that's what makes people feel justified in doing and saying shitty things. What do I think of Unitarian Universalism? I don't know the details of it, but it seems cool, but I don't really get the point of it. Like, I think religion is bad. I think it's untrue, and I think it's bad, and I think it should go away. But people are just trying. I'm not going to be mad at people. People are just trying their best. So I'm not going to hate on actual people, but I will bash religion as a concept all day because I think it's bad. I'll bash faith as a concept. I'll bash specific religions. The tenets of specific religions are often, horrendous, and I will all day bash that. But I'm not going to bash people. You don't remember subscribing. Well, hi. As an atheist, do you believe in a finite universe? Well, I don't. I think it's better to defer to what scientists have to say about that. And I actually don't know the most up-to-date science about that. I'm pretty sure that it's sort of a the way that you say it, the way that you describe it, may not be the right word, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the universe consistently expands, So like you can't get to the edge of it basically, which kind of sounds like it's infinite, but I feel like that's not the best way to describe it, because it's expanding. So obviously it's like bigger than it was before. So at some point it's like measurable. I don't know. It's really confusing. What's your favorite meal? Breakfast, dinner, lunch? I don't know. I'm a traditional dinner person. I just like making some dinner, some baked chicken, some broccoli. Just like a nice little dinner. What's up, Electric Lamaine? I'm actually getting out of here pretty soon, but thanks for showing up. Do I play Call of Duty? Nope. I I don't talk about religion that much these days because it's just not interesting, and I don't think it's like an immediate problem right now. I think there are bigger fish to fry like right now, but I do think that the world would be better if there was no religion. But I'm not on the the Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens tip as much as I used to be. I think a lot of us in the sort of atheist community used to be like super hardcore, like fuck Christians are dumb. Um, but as you grow up, you just realize, people are just trying. They're trying their best. Just relax. And also, there's other things, like fucking. We've got a lunatic in the presidential office right now. Let's deal with that first right now. Hello, Julia. I feel like, is this like a conspiracy? I feel like whenever I say I'm about to stop, the chat starts to pick up and people start coming to the stream. Is this like a conspiracy to make me extend the stream? Well, you get to pick the thing that you're worried about. You get to pick the thing that you focus your attention on. So if you want to raise awareness about what's going on in Bangladesh, if that's what you want to dedicate your passion to, go for it. Yeah. Well, I guess I mean, you choose what you want to focus on. I think that um, it's generally more efficient to focus on smaller things at once. But whatever you want to do. The worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know. Maybe Troll 2. There's a lot of bad movies though. It's hard to say like the worst one. I never saw Jack and Jill, but it looked pretty bad. What's your favorite bad movie? Like the one that's so bad it becomes hilarious? Definitely The Room. That movie is so hilarious to me. It's just laugh out loud funny from beginning to end. The Star Wars Holiday Special. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Laser Mission. I've never seen that. Who's my favorite Beatle? John Lennon. Seen any Ed Wood movies? I have not actually. I want to see Plan 9 from Outer Space. I feel like it's probably hilarious. The sex scenes in the room are the best part. Yeah. So cringe. There's like a sex scene like 10 minutes into the movie. It's hilarious. I'm fed up with this world. I my one of my friends is like the manager at a bar, and she recently saw The Room for the first time, and she just like when she went to work the next day, she just played the Room on the TV at the bar on repeat, just over and over the whole day that she was working. It's hilarious. Quincy Jones thought that the Beatles were shit. I saw that interview. I think I mean the argument is I think what he's saying is like they were just bad at playing music, which, you know, is fair. If you respect, you know, someone for being talented at playing music, I understand that. But to say that the Beatles were not like one of the like greatest bands of all time is just wrong. Like I I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a matter of opinion, but I can't understand how you just don't like the Beatles. They made a bunch of really really good songs. I don't know. And then beyond that, you just have to you can't deny their influence on just popular music in general. Because I sort of feel the same way about Nirvana or Kurt Cobain specifically. Like apparently he was like shit at playing the guitar. Like he was awful at it. But he made a lot of songs that touched an entire generation. And I happen to love Nirvana. I just think that like almost every song they made was really good to me. What is my favorite Beatles songs? I don't know my favorite one period is. Maybe I Am the Walrus. The problem is I've heard so many of their songs so many times that I'm like sick of them almost. So it's hard for me to tell which one I actually like. Nevermind or In Utero. That's hard because they're good for different reasons. Um, Nevermind is more consistently good. Every song on Nevermind is good, but the best songs on In Utero are way better than the best songs on Nevermind. That doesn't answer your question, but that's the best I could do. I've only seen 2 episodes of Doctor Who. The more that I hear and read about Jordan Peterson, the more I think he's a clown. I don't mind being asked the same questions. It's just, you know, it's pretty remarkable that people that I get asked the same time. That I get asked the same stuff a lot. All right, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna like 10 more minutes. I'm gonna go. I'm kind of hungry. So like maybe one last question if you got one. Thank you for coming to my stream as always. You guys are awesome. Had a lot of people this time. If you didn't know, I stream every Sunday, or at least I try to stream every Sunday around 1 p.m. Central Time. You can go on the internet and find yourself a time zone calculator or time zone converter to figure out what that is where you live. Yeah, Cobain apparently was a pretty bad guitarist. Like he's probably like I'm probably as good as he was at guitar, but he was an amazing songwriter and just a really interesting dude. Yeah, I like his voice as well. Yeah, I just like Nirvana a lot. I mean, Nirvana is probably my favorite band of all time. A lot of that is nostalgia, but also I just like it. Yeah, that was the sort of the impression that I got from Peterson is like, oh, some stuff he says is on point and some stuff he says is ridiculous. But the more, and maybe it's just because of the people that I follow, but everything that I see from him is just all the cuckoo stuff. I don't see the smart stuff. "10 p.m. in South Africa." Yeah, that's what I try to stream a little bit earlier in the day so people in other countries can watch before it gets too late. Because I used to stream later, like maybe around 6 or 7 p.m. here, but that's like, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 in the morning on that side of the world. So Peterson is Claude Frollo. Damn. It's a heavy accusation, isn't it? Yeah, I guess I don't know if I've ever seen him directly talk about psychology, so maybe I should see that. But that's not what people follow him for. That's not what people care about. So I just love that he like literally he's like a millionaire now because he says all this dumb shit. Do you have any thoughts about PragerU? I am not a fan of PragerU, and their ads show up on my videos too, and I wish I could tell YouTube not to take it off. I think what it is they probably just tag videos, or they probably just tell YouTube, hey, put my ad on videos that are tagged politics or social issues or religion or things like that. So they probably just get spread on anything that's like vaguely related to politics. Yeah, Jordan Peterson seems to be a fan of the thought experiment, where he says something like absolutely ridiculous, but it's like, it's worth thinking about. Should we have to do that one day, conceivably? I should start saying dumb shit and start a Patreon. Well, it's worked for a lot of people, man. Speaking of, if you guys would like to support this stream or my videos, if you'd like to help me become less poor and be able to make videos and not be stressed out, or if you just want to, support me, want to help me be more sustainable, you can become a patron. You can pledge to my Patreon instead of Jordan Peterson's. Patreon.com/theonejanitor. Even $1 a month is really cool, and it goes a long way. So that would be cool. I finally have these things on. If you saw my last video, you know this, but I have That's Just Me Dough wristbands for sale. They're $5. The main reason I'm selling this is because I need a new computer. Because my computer is garbage. So this is sort of like a fundraiser. But you can get these at theonejanitor.com/wristband. Wristband, no S. Theonejanitor.com/wristband. They're $5. So that's another way you can support me. But thank you guys for coming to the stream. As always, I think I'm gonna go now. I don't know. Like, there's all kind of stuff that I can plug, but I don't want to be too annoying. But I do want to always remind people that, because I think there are some people that specifically like the live streams, and Patreon helps me do that, and not be too stressed out about it. So that's another way you can support me. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. I have a new video coming out maybe tonight, but probably tomorrow. So look out for that tomorrow around 2 p.m. Central Time. I just need to film it and edit it, and I may do that today. But even if I do it today, I'll probably still release it tomorrow. It's better to release things like earlier in the day, or at least I think it is. Who the fuck knows? YouTube's weird. As always, follow me on social media. Follow me on Twitter. I think Twitter is a good way if you want to hear me talk a lot, or if you want to see me posting shit a lot. Twitter is the best thing to do. If you'd like to have a one-to-one conversation with me, feel free to email me, hello@theonejanitor.com. I like when people email me. It's cool. Stay Heiko, indeed. And I guess that's it. Bye.